Ever since the pandemic hit, a lot of home chefs and small business owners have found themselves standing in front of a countertop wondering whether a big-ticket appliance is really worth the money. You've probably stared at this 30-quart commercial-style mixer, thought about the time you'll save, and then wondered if you'll end up with a half-finished batch of dough or a machine that just sits there taking up space. That hesitation is completely understandable. No one wants to waste cash on a piece of equipment that doesn't fit their real-world needs. If you're trying to decide whether this Omcan 17836 commercial 30 QD mixer with guard, 3 attachments, and a timer is the right fit for your kitchen or bakery, keep listening. The link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the kind of workflow this mixer is built for. The 30-quart capacity immediately tells you it's aimed at more than casual weekend bakers. Think of a small neighborhood bakery, a catering business that needs to churn out large batches of dough, or a serious home-based food entrepreneur who wants to scale up without buying a full-size commercial floor model. The motor is a modest 2 horsepower, which on paper sounds low compared to industrial mixers that boast 5 HP or more, but in practice it delivers a steady, consistent torque that can handle doughs up to 6 pounds without stalling. That means you won't be constantly watching the motor overheat, and you can run multiple batches in a row provided you give it a short cool-down period between runs. One of the strongest practical features is the built-in timer. For a baker, timing is everything. The timer lets you set a precise mixing interval and then automatically shuts off, which removes the guesswork and reduces the chance of overmixing a delicate batter. In real kitchens, that saves both time and the mental load of constantly checking the clock. I've seen chefs use it for everything from whipping a 5-gallon batch of whipped cream for a wedding cake to kneading a large pizza dough that needs a specific rise time. The timer is easy to set with a simple dial, and it clicks off cleanly, no confusing digital readouts to decipher. The 3 attachments standard paddle, dough hook, and whisk are also worth highlighting. The paddle works well for medium-weight batters, the dough hook for heavier doughs, and the whisk for lighter mixes like meringues. Because all 3 come included, you're not forced to purchase separate accessories later. In a real-world scenario, a coffee shop that needs to produce both pastry dough and a quick almond flour batter can swap out the attachments without a hassle. That flexibility can shave off a few dollars compared to buying a similar capacity mixer that only includes a basic paddle and requires you to buy the hook and whisk separately. Now, where does this model fall short? The first practical weakness is definitely the footprint. At 30 quarts, the bowl itself measures about 22 inches in diameter, and the machine sits on a base that's roughly 20 inches wide and 30 inches deep. If you have a tight countertop or limited storage space, you'll need to carve out a permanent spot for it. Some reviewers have noted that it sits low to the ground, making it hard to access the bowl's edges when you're adding ingredients. A quick workaround is to use a kitchen step stool or raise the mixer on a small platform, but that adds another piece to your kitchen layout. Another practical trade-off comes from the 2 HP motor. While it handles most doughs comfortably, it isn't the powerhouse you'd need for extremely dense or high-gluten breads that require long, intensive kneading cycles. If you plan on tackling heavy rye or whole grain breads on a daily basis, you might feel that the mixer slows down toward the end of the cycle, and you'll have to stop and let the motor rest. In contrast, a true commercial-grade mixer with 5 HP would breeze through those tasks without a pause. So, for hobbyists who bake a few loaves a week, the motor is fine, but for a high-volume bakery where the mixer runs continuously for 8 hours a day, you might look elsewhere. Let's talk about the guard. The safety guard that surrounds the bowl is a practical addition if you have kids or employees who might reach in while the mixer is running. It snaps on and off relatively easily, and it does its job of preventing accidental contact with the moving parts. However, the guard does add an extra step when you need to quickly add a pinch of salt or a last-minute ingredient. Some users have complained that the guard can be a bit fiddly to reattach after each use, which could be annoying if you're doing a rapid succession of small batches. It's a small inconvenience, but it's worth mentioning if you value speed over safety. Warranty and support are often overlooked, but for a commercial-type appliance, a 1-year parts and labor warranty isn't a massive safety net. It tells you that the manufacturer anticipates a reasonable lifespan, but if you're looking for a decade-long investment, you might want to factor in the potential cost.